the miraculous aftermath, recovery. I'm talking about my injury with diastasis recti and the surgery that I had, and then the recovery from the summer from hell, as I like to call it. So if you didn't see the messy middle, that's where you'll see the whole explanation of my pregnancies, how I ended up having such a bad injury, and then how I ended up on a surgeon's table. But just to sum it up for you, if you haven't seen it, I had terrible diastasis recti from my first pregnancy and then did not know what it was. This was 2005 when I discovered that I had it, and the misleading information was terrible. I was in the fitness industry and no one had answers for me. So I went back and did things that people told me I was supposed to do for core strength, or things that I had learned in my different certifications for core strength, which include all the things that you're not supposed to do with a core injury. So I did all of those things, made it worse, had a hernia, and was pretty well debilitated from that injury, and wound up on a surgeon's table with not one, but two surgeons who sewed me from sternum to pubic bone twice, took out a hernia, covered it with mesh, and sewed me tight as a drum. And right after that happened, I also sat by my father's side as he died. So needless to say, it was the summer from hell. It was horrible. And God puts you through these things because there is a next step, right? He's not going to put you through these things to tear you down. It's to build you up and to teach you how you're supposed to be teaching others, which is basically the story that I'm telling you today. It is only by faith that I got through any of this, and by faith that I am able to stand up straight today. Totally. It is a miracle. I was incredibly debilitated and could have just given up and said, I'm just going to have back pain, horrible posture, and no core strength for the rest of my life. I could have accepted that. I didn't. I knew there was a better answer. So I was bent over in a forward bent position for 4 months and could not lay flat and could not stand up straight. So literally, the first thing I had to work on was getting my spine long again. And during this process of trying to elongate my spine and trying to stretch out where they had sewn me so tight was where I went back into the training and the principles of the Pilates and yoga that I had been studying for so many years. And what's so interesting about studying Pilates and yoga is that it gets really, really deep inside of you at a certain point. It's like it turns on all of a sudden and the light bulb goes on and you go, oh, that's why. That's how it's supposed to feel. That's what the philosophy really is. I've been saying it all these years. Here's what it really is. So I started working on elongating my spine, and my first workout was laying on the floor, literally laying on the floor, and trying to get my spine elongated, and then being able to move my arms up and down around that. It was very difficult. It took me quite a while to get through that and to get to that workout. And then the second phase was to get my ribs and my pelvis in line with the rest of me. So it seemed like, because my spine was all out of whack from this surgery and from being bent over, my pelvis was in one direction, then my ribs were in the other direction, and vice versa. I couldn't get them to line up with a nice spine that had a natural curvature to it. So I worked on that. And then I really dug back into the Pilates breathing and how it works. When I came out of surgery, and I mentioned this in the messy middle, I remember the nurse immediately as I woke up and her telling me that I just needed to breathe, and I couldn't. Here I am, a fitness professional with all these years of experience telling other people when they're supposed to breathe in and out. And I'm laying on a table and I can't breathe. I felt like I was literally going to suffocate to death because I could not get a breath. And here's why I could not get a breath. My muscles had been completely sewn together so tight that I had been doing belly breathing for years. I couldn't expand my belly. I didn't know what to do. So I had to breathe somehow. How did I breathe? My actual lungs. I used my actual lungs that are under my rib cage from front to back. What do you know? So going back in my Pilates philosophy, that is Pilates breathing. Wow. And you know what? If I really practice this whole Pilates principle, well, gosh, my posture is better. My core is pulling up and in. And lo and behold, the muscles around it are more functional. Everything's starting to be more functional. There's something to this practice. So I dug into different Pilates teachers, different ways that they were teaching and what they were teaching. And the intense feeling of horrific pain was an incredible message to me because I could feel when I was doing something that was not good for that injury immediately. There's a difference between muscle soreness and the bad kind of pain. So I was digging into the muscle and digging out of the bad kind of pain. The other thing I was digging out of was, in this injury, this is not functional. This does not feel like it's working what it's supposed to work within this injury. It's super hard to explain to you. If you're going through it, you know what I'm talking about. Like if you're lifting your leg and you're just lifting your leg and you don't feel anything else going on, then what are you doing? Nothing, right? So there's certain movements that I realized this is really functional. This is really helping me strengthen and pull everything up and in and making everything around it stronger. This here, this exercise is not helping me, could be hurting me, is not functional, is pressing my body in the wrong direction.